Welcome, it's 2025, and with hindsight we can see how the first half of the 20th century shaped our world. We'll journey through World War I and World War II, conflicts that shattered empires, redrew borders, and transformed societies. These wars weren't just about battles, they were about people, suffering, courage, and change. Imagine a world of powerful empires, tangled alliances, and simmering rivalries. A world on the brink. In this documentary, we'll explore how these wars began, how they were fought, and how they changed everything. Let's begin our look back at the wars that defined a century. World War I didn't start overnight. Europe was a powder keg, primed by four forces: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Militarism fueled an arms race, especially between Germany and Britain, making war seem inevitable. Alliances split Europe into two camps: the Triple Entente, Britain, France, Russia, and the Triple Alliance: Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Any conflict risked dragging everyone in. Imperialism drove competition for colonies, spreading rivalries worldwide. Nationalism stoked tensions, especially in multi-ethnic empires like Austria-Hungary. The spark, June 28, 1914, Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, issued an ultimatum to Serbia. Russia backed Serbia. The alliance system triggered a chain reaction. One by one, Europe's powers declared war. What could have been a local crisis became a global inferno. Colonial empires pulled in soldiers from across the world, ensuring the conflict's global scale. The world plunged into darkness, and the first truly global war began. The dominoes had fallen, and there was no turning back. The war's origins were complex, but the result was simple. Devastation on a scale never seen before. The world would never be the same. The stage was set for catastrophe. World War I was trench warfare, mud, rats, and relentless artillery. The Western Front stretched 500 miles, a landscape of misery and stalemate. Battles like the Somme and Verdun became symbols of senseless slaughter. Millions dead for a few miles of ground. New weapons, poison gas, tanks, aircraft, and submarines changed warfare forever. The war was global. Fighting raged in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and at sea. Unrestricted submarine warfare by Germany drew the United States into the conflict in 1917, tipping the balance. Leaders like Kaiser Wilhelm II, David Lloyd George, and Woodrow Wilson shaped the war's course. On the Eastern Front, Tsar Nicholas II's failures led to revolution and Russia's exit from the war. The world was forever changed by the choices of a few and the suffering of millions. By late 1918, the Central Powers collapsed. The armistice ended the fighting, but peace was elusive. The Treaty of Versailles, shaped by the Big Four, imposed harsh terms on Germany: blame, reparations, and territorial losses. Germany's humiliation and economic hardship fueled resentment and extremism. New nations emerged from fallen empires, but new borders brought new tensions. The League of Nations was created to keep peace, but the US refused to join, weakening it from the start. The economic toll was staggering. Inflation and instability swept Europe. Survivors felt disillusioned, the lost generation haunted by sacrifice and loss. The seeds of another, even greater conflict were sown. The world was changed, but not healed. The next storm was already gathering. The years between the wars were marked by turmoil, not peace. Economic crisis and the Treaty of Versailles legacy allowed Hitler's Nazis to rise in Germany, promising revenge and revival. Fascism spread. Mussolini seized power in Italy, and militarists dominated Japan, launching invasions in Asia. The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, Japan, rejected democracy and sought conquest. The League of Nations proved powerless. Britain and France tried appeasement, hoping to avoid another war. Hitler's aggression escalated. Austria, Czechoslovakia, then Poland. September 1st, 1939, and Germany invaded Poland. Britain and France declared war. The world was plunged into an even more devastating conflict. World War II was a war of speed and technology. Blitzkrieg swept Europe, toppling nations in weeks. Britain stood alone after France fell, but the RAF's victory in the Battle of Britain stopped Hitler's advance. Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor brought the US into the war, shifting the balance. On the Eastern Front, Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union led to the brutal Battle of Stalingrad, a turning point as the Red Army began its push west. Leaders like Churchill, Roosevelt and Stalin became symbols of resistance and resolve. Hitler's ambition and blunders, especially in Russia, doomed the Axis. D-Day in 1944 opened a second front. Germany surrendered in May 1945. In the Pacific, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki forced Japan's surrender. The war ended, but the world was transformed. The cost was staggering, and the consequences would shape the next era. The world order was about to change forever. World War II's end in 1945 marked a new era. Devastation, but also hope for peace. 60 million dead, the Holocaust's horrors revealed, and cities in ruins. Europe's power faded. The US and Soviet Union emerged as superpowers, rivals in the Cold War. The United Nations was founded to prevent future wars, and new principles of human rights and justice were established. Technology and society changed rapidly. Jet engines, computers, nuclear power, and movements for equality and independence. The European Union was born from a desire to make war unthinkable. The legacy of these wars is everywhere in 2025, a world shaped by both cooperation and the threat of destruction. The 20th century's great wars created our modern world, for better and for worse.